going to take all of us. And I love the whole planet, too. So just knock off this crap about wiping us out. It's time for another paradigm. Anyway, back to you guys.
Yeah, I think it is time for a new paradigm, and so that's at the top of my prayers. But in the meantime, I have to cope with what there is, and what there is, and what we're seeing and what we're hearing about is pretty ugly. So rather than become angered by it, I used to be very, very, very angry about everything I found that was wrong. And you can certainly find a lot wrong if you look for it. And I found that that's very hard on the organism to be angry like that. So we have to find a way to reconcile the wrongness of what we're seeing and get to the rightness of a future time when this is not going to exist anymore. And now you've done it through your meditation or your ideals, and they're generally hyperdimensional metaphysics and occult belief. I get there through a covenant, and that's the difference between the two different paths. One is a covenant, and the other is a way of thinking. And so we're just going to have to live it out and see how it turns out.
That's all we can do.
Yeah, and there's no blame, and there's no blame for anybody about anything, because the situation is so complex, and the problems are so compounded and confounded that who can you blame anyway?
No, there's no one to blame. It's all part of the game we set up in place. That was one of the things that Errol the Grey said, is that they come down here for the game because the game is more exciting than no game, So it's part of the continuum of existence of creation, where, of course, it's all peaceful all the time. It's all just big, Om Mani Padme Om, and playing harps on the clouds, right? But
that would bore me to death.
Right, so that's why they're in the...
Yeah, that's why we're here. We came for the show, okay, and now we're figuring out what's going on in the play and who done it. Who done it on the table. Okay, cool. And so we can enjoy that because, finally, I've been alone a long time, but finally, Janet, here I am talking to a couple of other people who are just as vested in this predicament, figuring it out as I am. And yes, we all find different facts, and we all work very hard at it. Like Alex Jones, he doesn't pound his shoe on the table, but I expect him to do that any minute. And Benjamin Fulford does his, and everybody has their passion about what they're finding, and I just have to let it be. Just have to let everybody be with their passion. And let everybody be with calming themselves down, because I sure can't. I have trouble enough calming myself down. I'm not going to get anybody else calmed down.
Rather than calm them down, let's crank it up and see where it takes us.
Well, the people I know are already overcommitted. They're already overcommitted. All my kids are in the middle of their very busy years. So
how many kids?
I have 5 of my own and a couple adopted, and 9 grandchildren.
Wow.
My oldest grandson is 27, and my youngest granddaughter is 1.5. And I have 2 kids that haven't even started yet. So, because I had 2 kids in the 60s, 1 in the 70s, and 2 in the 80s. Now, you don't have to be crazy to do it that way, but it helps.
Yeah, what were you thinking?
Well, I was married and divorced 3 times, okay? I was married to one guy in the 60s, and that didn't work out, so I got married again in the 70s, and that didn't work out. I got married again in the 80s, that didn't work out. So I've been single ever since. But all the kids are great. They're all great. They're all wonderful.
Must have been to have one every generation. I mean, every decade.
Actually, it was a lot easier than my daughter, who got married at 37, had her first baby at 39, twins at 43, and a caboose at 45. She's now 51, and the oldest one in the house is 12.
Oh, my goodness. Boy, she's a soul.
She's got her hands full.
I was childless. I always wonder what that was about, but I've been told many times that I have children on, ship or whatever, however you want to symbol it, and I've been showing them, and it's like, okay, and mine are not hybrids with the Greys. They're Anunnaki hybrids, another generation.
Yeah, of course. Well, you and I are cousins, aren't we? I think we are.
Yeah, I'm a royal.
I'm a royal twice, because I ended up in the Windsor pile, which is a pile, believe me, and the problem with being highly evolved and an old soul at the bottom of the pile, like I've been, is that it's a real stiff learning curve. A real stiff learning curve, because the first thing, what my adopted mother kept saying to me when I was a little girl, 3, 4, 5 years old, stop acting like a princess. Who do you think you are? and it's been, Well, but that $1.50 will buy me a cup of coffee, because I've been completely disowned. Completely disowned. So,
there's probably the blessing in disguise.
Yes, because it has enabled this education that I never would have had otherwise. Yes, you're right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade.
Yes. Thank God if she were disowned. Yes.
Because now I can know something. Now, this is one of the problems we have to address, that there is this inequality among people. We are not a homogeneous planet. We have, I don't know about you, but I'm a Mensan, okay? And Mensans are some of the most unaware people I've ever met. But
what's a Mensa? I don't know what that is.
The organization Mensa. It's
Mensa.
for Brainiacs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. The Brainiacs. Okay. Yeah.
The Brainiacs. Okay, I've been a Brainiac for 30 years. And they're not very aware people. And I kind of, it's rude, but I study. I go into their sites and I look at their stuff to see where their heads are. And I think to myself, my God, these are the intelligent, the 2% or something on the planet, and none of them has a clue about the need to self-discipline themselves into leadership status and leadership function. If the intelligent people aren't going to lead, who's going to lead? And this, I don't know. What are we going to do?
Different types of intelligence. You can have people that pass all the tests, but what do they do with it?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. They have all this book learning, and you get them in a room, and they talk about their hobbies and their, special interests and their dissertations and their this and their that. But it's all about me. And you go down in the rough part of town, and I've lived and worked in the rough part of town, and I know how to function. I used to work in a black company with all my bosses black in a black neighborhood. I got along fine because they're just people. They're just people.
Yeah.
And so we have a problem with the tremendous spectrum of ability and disability and giftedness and handicappedness, and leadership is not a topic even being taught in school. So where are our leaders going to come from? This is troubling to me. And so I'm hoping in our little coterie, in our little group of people who are all interested in what's real and what's going on and what are we going to do, that will come up with some options for how do we deal with such diversity, with such a lack of leadership abilities and skills and experience, because you don't see leaders coming up very much. And that's what we need is leadership.
One of my hobbies looking at YouTube, and I came across a young genius. He was 9 years old. He was labeled autistic, but there's a correlation between autism, but they've tested him. He's not only a genius extraordinaire on the line of Tesla or Einstein, but he has the ability to think. And so they're maybe there's a generation coming in that has this ability to think and problem solve. And so he's going to graduate college with his PhD at 14 or something like that. And maybe there's hope. There's only one in so many million that are like this, but there are these savants coming forth.
Yeah, but we need a leader for every community, and a leader for every county, and a leader for every state. And not only, we also need to figure out what to do with the turkeys we've got in Congress who are all sold out. And the legal system that has been converted from common law over to commercial law, where all of our names are now in all capital letters, and our birth certificates are used as collateral for federal loans. I mean, the whole mechanistic and commercial slave system has to be brought down. And so that's part of some meetings of
I call it the United Nations of planets. It's like there's a representative. Largest meeting I was in was about 100,000 different species, and everything's completely telepathic, and we're communicating much faster than when you have to subparse and use languaging. And so they're talking about governance, not governments. And so they have a different systems of leadership, and leadership rotates. So when you're born, you're going to be expected to come and lead for whatever that time of period is. It might be a week, might be a day, might be a month, or whatever the equivalent is in your planet. And so for me, I have to look outside of this box, humanity, and look to. I was raised on Star Trek, and I was blessed to have met Gene Roddenberry, who was one of the most incredible geniuses of our time, and so we've got to look at different systems. It's not going to come from within this existing paradigm that we have here on planet Earth. We have to think beyond this box.
What Einstein said is you can't solve a problem with the same way of thinking that created the problem.
Right. So it's not going to. But that's where they take me. They take me into this, and I know they're being gentle with me because I identify as being a human being, but I'm more than that. When I'm on board ship, I am my eternal self, my eternal soul, and there's a different level of genius, a type of genius there. But we're limited here by this physical form. We're a symbiotic creature in relationship with between our soul and our bodies. So there's some kind of training that they're doing with me, and I know if they're doing it with me, then I'm not alone. That this is happening. Yeah,
well, and we've got this little resource group now, and I'm very delighted, and thank you for allowing me to participate.
We're running out of time. Everybody, final words. We have 90 seconds.
Oh,
Bob,
my.
What would you like? Fine. We're going to continue on Friday, though. So, Bob, what would you like to say?
If you only do what you've always done, you only get what you always got. My kids tell me this all the time. So I'll see you Friday. What time? 6? 3 your time.
Channel.
Okay, sweetie. I'm going.
Okay, sir.
Good night. Good night, Bob. Thank you.
Okay, good night, folks.
Okay, good.
All right. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a delight being with you. Much love and blessings and aloha. And we will see you again Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Hawaii time, and let's see, 6 to 8 Pacific time. Okay, much love and blessings and aloha.